So anthropology is the first step in the identification process. So we're looking at human skeletal remains to answer questions that are of medico-legal interest. Sometimes those questions will be around the identification of that individual, so who they were, and sometimes those questions are around the circumstances in which they died. So anthropologists work within a broader medico-legal team. So we work very closely with the pathologists, and depending on the nature of the case, we may work with other scientific specialties like odontology or molecular biology or entomology. We create what we call a biological profile. So from the skeletal remains, we make an estimation of a person's sex, their age, their stature, and their ancestral origins. Then that narrows down the list of potential missing persons that law enforcement are looking for. They would then do scientific identification, such as DNA or dental, to make the formal identification. And the questions that we may be asked are around the circumstances of death. So that's typically an examination of defects to the skeleton to understand if those changes to the skeleton that we see are the result of what happened to that individual after they died. So if they've been exposed to the environment for a period of time, if those remains have shown the effects of burning, for example, we can interpret those changes, or if those changes are actually the result of trauma, and if that trauma occurred around the time that they died. And it is a real privilege, I think, to be able to study their remains and actually tell a little bit about who they were and the life they lived, and sometimes what happened to them at the end of their life. I find that very rewarding work.